Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Play It Forward show. I am Allison Van Cott McEntee, and you are listening to WUSB 90.1 and 107.3, as well as WUSB.FM. I'm very excited we have a very, very special guest with us today, Eileen Lee Berger Morris. Lee is a board-certified music therapist, a New York State licensed creative art therapist, a fellow of the Academy of Neurologic Music Therapy. She oversees curriculum development for Sing Out Loud, a therapeutic course program, through Stony Brook Southampton Hospital and the university's Department of Speech Language Pathology. A clinician researcher, Lee is particularly interested in studying hybrid approaches that capitalize on the intersections of music therapy and other therapeutic disciplines. To this end, she collaborates with other researchers in the School of Health, Technology, and Management, investigating the potential role of music in improving health, function, and well-being. She has extensive clinical research in both medical and special education settings and has authored articles about applications of music therapy in people with autism and with Parkinson's disease. Thank you so much, Lee, for joining us today, and welcome to the show. You have quite a wonderful list of accolades there.
Thanks. I'm so happy to be here, Allison.
Thank you so much for coming. And by the way, a quick shout out to my sidekick and co-host, Kate. I hope you are having a wonderful day. But again, a month ago, we had board-certified music therapist Elizabeth Schwartz on the show, who is a friend of yours and a colleague. Mm-hmm. And she spoke so highly of you and some of your work, particularly in the amazing research that you're working on. Obviously, this has to be the first question. As an expert in the field, as well as a researcher of neurologic music therapy, NMT, can you explain to our listening audience what exactly is NMT?
So neurologic music therapy is a subspecialty of music therapy. All neurologic music therapists are music therapists with additional training. So in neurologic music therapy, we're taking it, I like to think of it as a step further by being aware of the way that music affects our brains in terms of perception, production, and cognition. We are able to actually devise interventions that can literally change the brain. That's the term that we use for this is neuroplasticity, and music can drive that. And that's one of the, I would say the main differences is this focus, the fact that we're using standardized interventions to get to those goals.
It's amazing, and it's obviously with the help of advancing technology with imaging studies. We had a long discussion yesterday. And
imaging played a huge role in the advancing of NMT, practices and studies. It's all evidence based. So, in order to have an effective intervention, you have to be able to demonstrate why this is happening,
right.
Why we're doing this, and there's still needs to be lots more research, but we're getting there. The body of research is growing, which is very exciting.
It's amazing work, and I find it absolutely fascinating to read. And you actually lead me to my next question. You are a researcher. Most of your work is in research.
Clinical work it plays a huge part in my week as well.
Okay, so you have a good balance between the two.
Yeah. Well, I think about research all the time. Does that count?
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell our audience what the research that you have done?
So basically, I've been involved in two studies through the School of Health, Technology, and Management. Both looking at ways that music can improve function in people with Parkinson's disease. In the first study, this is an ongoing project, actually, a gait study looking at ways that we can improve the gait in a person with Parkinson's, which tends to be irregular, kind of shuffly, slow, small steps. There's a lot of different parameters on in terms of the way a person steps, and a couple of our Stony Brook resident geniuses, Dr. Lisa Moratori and Dr. Margaret Shadell, had an idea to use sonification, to use biofeedback in the form of sound, which turns the data of the way that person is walking into an audible stimulus, and to use that to enable that person who's walking to get feedback about the way that they're walking and make those corrections.
Wow, based on just listening to the music.
Based on the sounds of the sounds that are coming at them through their headphones. So there's a whole system involved, and we're still developing things. We did publish some papers on this, including a look at whether there were differences in the way a person with Parkinson's disease as compared to a person without Parkinson's disease even relates to music. So we wanted to get a full picture so that we can move forward, with ways to really address the gait.
That is absolutely fascinating. I find it amazing that our brain has the ability to basically rewire and reverse these. What we once thought was permanent no longer has to always be. Right, and you've worked a lot with stroke patients, right, and traumatic brain injury,
right,
as well as autism, right, is the focus of your work,
right, right. Yeah, I have a lot of different involvements, so I should backtrack.
Yeah.
Also mention that a current research project is a voice project that we're working on in combination with Stony Brook Southampton Hospital and the school, the speech language pathology department.
Okay.
And that's a voice study project where we're looking at improving vocal abilities. And again, when you start to sort of parse what's involved in using your voice, there's volume, there's articulation, there's the quality of the tone of the voice. So those are parameters that we're studying and seeing whether there are changes in participants following a course. It's actually going to be like a class, a program, whereby we'll be involved in vocal exercises and singing wonderful songs that additionally, we think that experience will affect a quality of life level too. So that's another one of our parameters.
Wow.
And thanks to COVID, who says that ever? Thanks to COVID.
That's right. Who does ever say that?
The original intention of the study had been in person, but we are now going to be looking at this over a virtual platform, and we think that in a way this is going to have benefits that we might not have been able to point to in the beginning. It's going to be an accessible program to folks who may not have been able to get to the clinic.
Yeah.
And we're hoping, and while still maintaining a sense of a group connection. So there's a sense of purpose involved too.
Right.
There's a kind of like higher goals other than. In addition to the very important primary goals of improving voice, but there's a connectedness that's involved in making music.
Yeah.
Exactly, making music. It's as old as the hills. Making music with other people. So whenever we can have that piece, we feel like that's a real advantage that a music-based program can bring.
That's wonderful. I strongly believe in group singing. We emphasize that here in our club. We do an annual holiday sing-along, and we always tell the students group singing lowers your cortisol levels, right? Raises your serotonin, and it's true that your hearts end up beating in synchronicity.
There are physiological responses
Yes.
to music, and that's one. Yes,
It's fascinating, and with the singing and the voice, you remind me of Most people would recognize this story. Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords, back in 2011, suffered from a gunshot wound that affected a part of her brain that has to do with speech, and she was suffering from aphasia. I know how she, based on her, interviews and hearing about her story, but tell our audience how she was able to speak again.
Well, some of those techniques that were used with Gabrielle Giffords are also used, and you had mentioned before about folks with strokes. Mm-hmm. Sometimes a stroke affects also that side of the brain, that left side of the brain that's responsible for speech production. The person may know what they want to say, but they can't get it out. And though Gabby Giffords didn't have a stroke, it was the same region that was involved. So she too had to learn to speak again, and it's a painstaking process. But the good news is it can be very effective. So there were a few music therapy techniques that were used, and I'm also going to say that one of the main techniques that was used with Gabby Giffords, and we use with I use with my stroke patients at St. Charles, was developed by speech therapists. Wow. So it's kind of a hybrid approach, using music with to remediate speech. Speech therapists also use this technique, and all neurologic music therapists are trained in MIT, melodic intonation therapy. So that was one of the approaches that was used with her, which takes a very simple phrase, a functional phrase that somebody may wish to say, turns it into a little melody, and over repetitions, the person is able to form a motor pattern and is able to bring that phrase out, better and better. There's a huge rhythmic component, because there's also a tapping that goes along with that protocol to help the patient concentrate on the syllables, and there's a visual component where they're watching the therapist, or perhaps watching. There are the MIT package includes icons, so that's also comes into play. But basically, what we're doing there is we're trying to use the fact that music is so diffusely distributed in the brain. Mm-hmm. Music sort of serves as the catalyst to recruit the areas of the brain that are not affected. For instance, on the right side of the brain, the areas that can be recruited for speech production there into the mix. So while the left side has the damage, that whole brain response, because the music is there activating the whole brain.
It's fascinating.
Seems to it is able to take over.
That is absolutely fascinating, and really, I think,
that's neuroplasticity. I'm just going to
absolutely. I love neuroscience. I think it's a phenomenon. It's super. It's amazing, and I hope all our neuroscientists, faculty, and staff are listening to this interview, because we very much want to have an academic music therapy program here, even maybe a whole music therapy wing at the hospital.
From your mouth.
That would be great. But going back again to Gabrielle Giffords, I think it was a simple happy birthday to me, right? And I remember seeing the video, her trying to just say the words without the intonation and without the melody, happy, just saying happy birthday to me, or to you, as a sentence. And then all of a sudden, she was able to just sing it,
right,
effortlessly. Well, not in the beginning, but...
Yeah, so everything's relative. So relative with less effort.
Yes,
yeah, and actually, effort is one of the things that we kind of gauge too. That's another one of the sort of parameters too, because music, on the opposite end, facilitates. Right, yeah. Music is going to facilitate some of those responses that we want to see from the patients. Sometimes without even necessarily they're being aware of it. I think because we associate music with a sense of relaxation, calm, enjoyment, pleasure. Yes. Pleasure cannot be underrated. So when a person's having a pleasurable experience, everything can feel a little bit lighter. It can take a little bit of the edge off of the experience. That's a lot of the pain management techniques revolve around that experience.
That's fascinating because what we learned with Allie B., a board-certified music therapist who came to our club last week. Shout out to Allie. Thank you again.
Hi, Allie.
Thanks for...
She's the best.
She is the best. She's presented to our club twice, and she really left everyone with a lot to think about, and they certainly learned a lot. And I love when I see these students learn all about this for the first time, because you never would think music would have that capability to transform our brain, or somebody that has suffered a stroke or suffering from Parkinson's can actually get better with the help of music.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I also want to point out, and why music is so uniquely positioned to have this kind of facilitative effect, is that repetition is necessary for neuroplasticity. Things have to the movement or the task has to be repeated over and over and over. The brain just doesn't go, oh, you want this side to work? Okay. You need to really, you need to bring that point home.
Yeah.
And over and over and over, massed repetitions. That's actually the principle. I think you were going to, am I jumping the gun if I talk about the CIMT camp?
No, actually, I was going to get right into the CIMT. Please go for it.
I guess I'll finish my point, and then I'll give you the example of the CIMT camp. So music is naturally repetitive. There's so much repetition in music. If you think about some of the songs, you come back to the chorus, and then you do the verse, and you come back to the chorus. And you don't feel like, oh, no, not that again. It's just part of the structure. There are reduplicative syllables. People sing la, 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 and na, na, na. All of these things make music, sometimes I think, well, when the Beatles wrote that Hey Jude, and there's that coda at the end, were they thinking about how useful that would be in neurorehabilitation?
Wow. And you use that coda at the end for that?
Exactly.
Wow.
Na, 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 na.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but I bring this up to say the context of music makes those repetitions make sense.
Wow.
It keeps the person focused, because it's not just rote. It's not just do it again and do it again.
Yeah.
It actually is part of the aesthetic of hearing and being in the music, is that it's just going to go on again.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of built into that. So now bringing it up to the CIMT camp, which is a camp sponsored by St. Charles Hospital, focusing on children with hemiplegia. So these are kids, mostly kids with cerebral palsy, and they have a weak upper extremity.
Okay.
They may have other things going on, but we're focusing on the upper extremities. So music plays a part in this. This is a program that has a lot of a very multidisciplinary program. So there's PTs and OTs, speech therapists sometimes too, that are active in giving these kids a camp experience that's fun and engaging, and they are not allowed to use their good, quote-unquote, good arm, their better functioning arm. It's actually put in a cast or tied in such a way that they can't use it. So when it comes to playing games or catching balls or doing any of the other activities of the camp, they are doing it all massed repetitions, again, with their hands. So with their weaker hand, to strengthen it, to teach that brain, I need this. This has to work.
Yeah.
You better, rewire.
Be ready.
And get with the program.
Yeah.
So music is just perfect for this kind of, for this kind of purpose, for providing a context for repetitions. When they play instruments, they're going to hold that mallet, and they're going to grasp it, and they're going to strike the drum, and they're going to move at the elbow, and they're going to do it over and over again, because the song isn't over.
It's what's predictable, right? Am I understanding?
And it's predictable, and it occurs in time, so it can cover you for the duration of the song.
Wow.
To have, like I say, a context or a reason to keep making that movement. So we really feel like music plays a very large part in that camp, and that's really the principle behind a lot of the opportunities to do something in a repeated fashion to sort of guide and shape your brain.
Wow, that is absolutely fascinating. How long has CIMT been around?
This I don't know offhand. I'll get back to you on that.
I'm sorry, that was in the question.
We've been doing the camp. We've been doing the camp even before I got to St. Charles. So that camp's been ongoing. That's a real wonderful project that we have there. So that's been over 10 years.
I would love to see something like that here at Stony Brook University. You and I were talking about this, and Elizabeth, again, big shout out to Elizabeth.
Yes.
Thanks to her, it was because of Elizabeth that you're sitting here right now. So thank you, Elizabeth.
We are so lucky to have her in our community. I can't even tell you.
Oh, she brought so much to the table, and reading her work, and I can't believe she's published five books.
Published books, essential books.
Yeah.
Seminal works. Yes.
I'm really proud to say that our interview, actually, a good friend of mine, Chloe, had told me, who works at the Academy for Special Learners with Nick Farr, who's someone, shout out to Nick, I hope I get to meet you soon, Chloe had told us that interview is now being used at the Academy, and so I do hope that he picks up this one as well.
Yes, I think that did an excellent job of maybe providing some initial, as well as lots of the other things that she got into, but describing music therapy and describing music therapy training. I could really see that being used at like a informational session kind of thing to give that first glance at what music therapy is and what it isn't.
But and she did a great job of doing that. As the Play It Forward project here on campus, which is also a nonprofit organization, our goal is to really bring awareness and advocacy to the importance of music therapy in the healthcare setting, but particularly in the academic setting. Like I said earlier, I'm just amazed at how many students do not know about this field. And these are smart kids. I mean, this is a university that's primarily a STEM-based school. And we really would like it to go from STEM to STEAM and see A for the arts, of course. And so I think that with Elizabeth and now with you bringing this extra subtype of music therapy, neurologic music therapy, it just creates, in my opinion, just even more interest. We need to really get this keep this conversation going here at the university.
I think it's essential. I think we're here at Stony Brook, we have everything's in place.
Yes, we're all ready for
we're
it.
All ready. We've got we've got the neuroscientists. We've got the all the therapeutic disciplines. We've got
the labs.
Dr. Pace with the music in the brain course. There's so many different areas that we can cover on our own here just through Stony Brook that I see no reason why. I would love to see us go forward with that.
I would love to see that as well. And one thing you and I were talking about yesterday, I had said, as a piano teacher, I saw so many students, love music, but many of them were going into, pre-med, and a lot of the students in our club, they have such an interest in this because it's both. It's music and it's medicine, and
yes.
So it's a really wonderful combination, and
I would say also the mindset of a musician and the mindset of a scientist are extremely complementary. So many scientists are musicians, and that to me just points out that those overlapping, intersecting segments, and the fact that music itself is kind of benefits from that scientific way of examining and thinking about it, right? As of course, as well as the way that we process music, and we understand more and more about the brain as time goes by.
It is amazing because, when you think about it, music, in my opinion, and a lot of people I think would agree with me, that music is our universal language. And with that said, it's just to say that it's so human, so it feels so natural. And I suppose that's one of the biggest reasons why music therapy is does such a wonderful job healing people and transforming the brain and bringing back those.
It naturalizes things. So that's one of the one of the things that by working in a hospital setting, we can really see even immediate changes in a person's demeanor and a person's state of mind when the music starts playing, and then hopefully the functional changes come over time.
Well, I mean, first of all, the work you're doing is amazing, and I'm sure that you're excited for newer technology to come up, because that it only makes your research just more in depth. And but I think we could have gone on for a lot longer. I do hope that you can come back and
I would love to
and talk with us more. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today and to our listening audience. I hope everyone out there got a little bit more educated about neurologic music therapy. And
is there an opportunity, Allison, to mention about if anyone is interested in participating in our study?
Absolutely. I'm going to give everyone the link. And by the way, our show will be posted on our Facebook page. You can follow us at sbu.tpifp, and that information about the link will be there. But here it is.
This is for the voice study for folks with Parkinson's disease.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
So it's neuro.stonybrookmedicine.edu/sing-out-loud-study-Parkinson's. Again, that will be on our Facebook page. If you do have any questions, I feel free. Lee is amazing. She's offering her email address. You can reach Lee at Climb Music Therapy. So that's CLIMB MUSICTHERAPY @gmail.com. So thank you very much, Lee.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
It was wonderful to see you and meet you, and we look forward to having you back again. And we will be on in 2 weeks from now. I hope everyone is enjoying this beautiful fall weather, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. You are listening to WUSB.FM, the Play It Forward Project Show. Thank you.